All right, welcome back to the Family That podcast. Today we're going to talk about is social media toxic? And my answer to that is yes and no. And the reason why I say yes and no is because I believe that social media is very beneficial. I think that it's great that people can reach so many people, um, that you can remain connected to people throughout your whole entire life, even if you leave your hometown. I think it's great for businesses, especially small businesses. So I think that it serves a lot of purposes. Um, but I think that it's toxic when you just are on social media constantly and your life revolves around social media. And I always say that there's a social media world and then there's a real world. So I think that you can't get caught up with the social media world, and you have to remember that there's a real world out here waiting for you, and that you know what, the things that is on that social media is just that, on social media. So you just got to remember that, you have real friends, you have a real life, you go real places, that it's bigger than social media. So I think as long as you have that in mind and you stay grounded, then social media is not toxic. But if you're there constantly on there taking all of this information in, when you're constantly trying to see what your friends are doing and that's what you're consumed with and those types of things, then I think it could be a little bit of toxic. Too much of one thing is bad or something, however that quote goes. The reason why I wanted to make this was because I feel like, well, I did really, this thing is with my social media, I was like, man, is social media toxic? But then I realized, no, it's not. There's a lot of great people on there that share great information. And then there's people that are just lunatics. Like, there's another way to, like, describe it, right? And so what I'm saying is that I don't think social media in itself is toxic. I think it's the people that you follow that are toxic. And and I realize that people, the worst thing about social media is, like, of course, besides like the YouTube and stuff like that, that your words can easily get twisted, right? You could say one thing and people read it a certain type of way, or they listen and hear something completely different and they just want to hate. And that's another thing. There's a lot of hate here, and I think that, I don't understand it, because why be so hateful? Like, I don't understand the people that are hateful. I don't get people that are hateful to celebrities, anything like that, because the thing is, with social media, you control what you see. So if you don't want to see a particular thing or someone, just unfriend, unfollow, don't follow in the first place, but leave people alone. Like, I don't understand the bullying either on social media. I just think all of it's just odd, and I said in the new year that I'm don't want to be on social media as much. Like, I just don't like it. I think before I thought I wanted to be, like, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. I was like, man, I want to be a social media influencer. I thought it was so cool. And then I'm like, no, this is not the life. And I think, you know what? I'm glad that I didn't go, that things just didn't work out for that path, because it just seems like a lot. And so I had this particular post on my Facebook. Oh, also, so I said that the people that you follow are toxic, and I'm going to say that my Facebook is mainly probably liberal Democrats. My Instagram is a mix of everybody, and all over the place. Like, my Instagram is filled with people from all across the world, all types of viewpoints, all types of things. And my Twitter is also filled with a lot of conservatives, a lot of independent, a lot of people that just think freely. And so I've noticed that the one place that I can't stand to be on is my Facebook account. And I'm like, you know what? I realize that it's the people that I follow is the problem. It's not social media. It's these lunatics that I follow that, are just, they really, just have a weird way of thinking. Well, I won't say a weird way of thinking, because they probably think the way I think is weird. So I'll just say that they have, different viewpoints than I do, but they seem a little off, right? Like, for example, like a lot of my Facebook is like always saying that black on black crime is not real. There's a lot of still talking about Trump, and we have a new presidency, and I'm like, nobody's talking about him on here. Everybody is all pro mandates, pro, vax, all of that, and I'm just like, man, I do not fit with this circle anymore. These group, I don't fit with my Facebook friends. These are people that I grew up with. These are people I went to school with. So it's kind of odd to, you know, be this way now with my friend group, And it's kind of like, you know what, I don't understand what's going on here. And it's weird because I knew that this lane that I'm taking with podcasting and sharing my unpopular thoughts and views, that I was going to lose a lot of friendships. I already knew that. And I was totally okay with that because I'm kind of a loner anyways, and I don't have a lot of friendships. So I'm cool with, losing Facebook friends. And I've actually decided this week, since people won't unfriend me, that I'm just going to start unfriending people that are just doing the most on there, because I can't stand to see it anymore, because I do not believe in thinking that the world is so, so bad that I'm stuck in a certain place. I don't like to feel that way. Like, I need people that are free, and they know that they're free, and they're looking to do better, because I'm older now and I'm looking to do better all the way. Like, I don't feel like I'm stuck. I don't feel like none of those things. Like, I'm ready to move my life forward now. And so my Facebook friends have to reflect that, because I want to see certain type of posts now. I want posts that make me think. I want to see just certain type of things, you don't even have to agree with me. I want to see the opposing view, because I feel like you can agree to disagree with people and still be friends with them. I feel like with this whole new political era that people feel like they can't be friends that have differing political views than them. And I think that's odd, because as long as they don't want to harm you per se, right? As long as you hear their viewpoints and it doesn't sound like they're coming after you in your business, then I feel like you can still be friends with that person, because that person was a good person before you found out what political party they were with. And why does it matter anyways? Like, I mean, it doesn't determine, because of the political party, it doesn't determine if you're a good or a bad person or not. All right, so I have a podcast. I'm going to link it down below, where I talk about this in more details, because I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. But so I'm going to share a post that I made on my Facebook, right? And I'm going to share the responses that I got. And I'll explain everything as I go. Okay, it says, I'm honestly curious how these gentle parenting kids will be in the future, ... Because despite the way you grew up, it taught you something. It made you who you are today. Sad to say, but trauma makes a good story, and it gives you life experience, and it just teaches you a lot. I'm proud of all the people that had horrible childhoods and became something and not like their parents. You can give your kids the world, and they still turn out to be monsters. No one way of parenting is right. Just don't abuse your kids. Okay. When I go to my social media, which I'm never going to do this again after making this post, I got journals, and I'm going to start to use them. Because when I post on social media, I have a whole bunch of jumbled thoughts. Like, literally, my websites are jumbled thoughts, right? Politically jumbled. Those are my things. I always have, like, a whole bunch of thoughts where I'm thinking things at once. And I like to just get them out at one time. And then I'll go and get, like, a podcast together. All right, so I don't know where that dropped off at. But, okay, so when I have thoughts, I just, like I said, I'm going to start getting a journal, because I have, like, these jumbled thoughts, right? And I like to just put them out there, and then I'll go back, probably erase it. Sometimes I erase it, and I'll go and do a podcast or a blog about these jumbled thoughts, right? So when I made that post, because really I'm tired of this whole gentle parenting thing, if I'm honest with you. I believe people should parent their children the way that they feel is best, as long as you're not abusing your kids. That's just my I'm going to actually put the link below for my parenting podcast down below. So social media is filled with a lot of, I don't even know the word. They're not experts, but they think that they're experts. So social media is filled with a lot of social media experts. They're experts on parenting. There's therapists on there that have never been to school. You got relationship experts, mom experts, parenting experts. All these things. They want to feel like that they're authority on certain topics, because they might know a little information about it. And see, I'm one of those people that I've been through a lot in my life, so I like to share whatever I'm going through in my life on my Facebook. And it's just to show people my story. I can go back and look at my story too, and it's to encourage others. But what I don't like to do, and I've never done, is give advice, because I'm not licensed to do that, nor do I know your particular situation. And I feel like, that's the most probably toxic and dangerous part about social media, is the experts. The parenting experts especially. It's kind of like you don't know people's children. You don't know why people have to parent a certain type of way. And I feel for the parents that feel like they're horrible parents because they feel like they're not going along with a certain method, or they feel like, they fail for whatever reason, because I mean, like, there's so many posts that are like thrown at you constantly to make you feel like a failure. But these people are not an expert on anything. Let's be honest, okay? Some of them are. Some of them are trained in their fields, but some of them are not. And so you just have to take what people say with a grain of salt, right? And just be like, okay, that doesn't apply to me. I'm gonna move on. But like the relationship experts are really crazy because a lot of people that shouldn't stay with their men, they should really go find a domestic violence shelter. And so sometimes these messages on there are a little dangerous for people to see because some people need to make certain decisions and they might see a post that says, girl, stay with your man. It doesn't matter. You got to fight to the end to be with this man or whatever they say. I've seen crazy stay with your men posts. So I think that kind of rhetoric is just a little dangerous. A little bit. So these experts and even the therapy one, right? It's like all these people want to be therapists on social media. Like they're always trying to give this such life-changing advice and stuff like that. And, I'm just gonna say, if you're going through a mental health crisis or you're going through something in life, then the quotes, you're gonna need a little bit more than the quotes. You're gonna need some professional help. If you're going through issues with your child that you just can't explain, maybe they're going through something. These parenting quotes, these parenting experts, these parenting people that are always asking you to pay so you can get their advice, go pay a therapist. Like, use that money to go do that. Seek professional help. I don't understand how people are out here hustling, everyday people, and they don't have a lick of nothing. Like, they don't really have the expertise or the experience to really counsel you. Again, another tangent, right? But I just think that that's probably the most toxic part about social media, besides spending a lot of time on there, besides, abandoning your real life for social media, it's also the experts that spew dangerous information to everybody. Like, if you need professional help, you need to go seek it. Okay, back to this post, right? So when I made this post, I have jumbled thoughts, right? I said, I'm honestly curious how these gentle parenting kids are going to turn out, which I am very curious about. I want to see them as adults. I want to see if they're more well-rounded than, all these people that feel like they had trauma from their childhood. I would love to see what's going to be. That was like a real, thing there. And that's why I put ... because I'm like, okay, that's the end of that point. I'm moving on to my next tangent. All right, let me hurry up because my phone's trying to die. Okay, so I said because the site the way you grew up, it taught you something. Good or bad, right? And it's sad to say, but trauma makes a good story. Now, when I say things like that, it's not literal, like trauma makes a good story. It's just saying that, we're all going through things in life. We all have a story to tell. Was kind of what I meant by that. Not necessarily saying that you need trauma in your life, right? But we all go through things. Okay? And then that was kind of like the end of it. Then I said you could give your kids the world and they still turn out to be monsters. Now the problem with that is that, everybody probably assumes that I'm saying I'm honestly curious how these gentle parenting kids will be in the future, ... refers back to you can give your kids the world and they still turn out to be monsters. So when I said that, I'm saying that you don't know what's going to happen. At the end of the day, you can try your best to raise your children and then they decide to go a completely different route. That's all that I was saying, okay? And so, again, these are tangents. These are jumbled thoughts. They're stringing together. Okay, and I said no one way of parenting is right. Just don't abuse your kids, okay? So the first one is, I don't think gentle parenting equates to giving your child the world. You can be poor and still a gentle parent. I think it sits in the principles of do no harm or minimizing trauma. If those who have had horrible childhoods can become something, I wonder how much they could have become if they had not had to unlearn the trauma or process the trauma. What if they could have better exerted that energy and time and mental capacity doing more and being more? I think it's worth considering. And the thing was, it had nothing to do with my post. Nothing to do with it. Like, I don't care about gentle parenting itself. Parent your child the way that you want to. And again, these are everybody that attacked me on this post, of course, were not parents. Non-parents are the biggest parenting experts. So I said, and I didn't say it equates to that at all. I'm just saying a lot of people think if they do whatever, their kids won't turn out a certain way. And not everyone is doing gentle parenting the way it is intended, but that's for another day. Do you think life comes without trauma or pain? That's just unrealistic. We're all going to experience something in life, and it's up to you to heal from it and overcome and not be a victim all your life. I had a great childhood, but adulthood has been hell on wheels, and it taught me I had an unrealistic view on life and people. Now, the reason why I said that is because a lot of people think that, you can go through life with no trauma, no pain, and that, what, parenting is the only thing that causes trauma in a childhood. And I just do not believe that. Wholeheartedly, I don't believe that. I feel like you can get trauma from so many things growing up. And it could do nothing with the way your parents parented you. Okay, so she didn't say anything back to that one, but somebody else hopped on the phone. All right, so I don't know where this keeps stopping, but I'm going to put it on there what they said, right? And my thing was, this post had nothing to do with gentle parenting. And why am I tying this back to why social media is toxic? Social media is toxic because you have people like that just seek to misunderstand and they want to argue. And the thing is, the reason why that's toxic is because if you're like me, I want to, then prove a point that, I was trying to make a certain point and that this is not what I was trying to say. But what I've learned recently is that I don't need to argue with fools. I don't need to argue with people. I don't need to, make a point to people that seek to misunderstand me. So I'm realizing now that, what, social media doesn't have to be toxic. You don't have to let in bad energy if you don't want to. Simply delete the people, which is what I did. As you see, I said, what, you have never been on any post to support me or anything like that, but you hop into a post to say things like this and attack me, and then you talk about therapy, knowing that my child is also in therapy. And I just want to say that therapy doesn't mean that you failed as a parent. It does not mean that. Sometimes you might just have your child needs to work through some issues, and getting them therapy is needed. So for them to say that you can avoid years of therapy if you would do gentle parenting just makes me angry, honestly. And so I just think that, I'm learning that, what, social media is not the place that's toxic. It's the people that's on there, and you have to learn how to limit your time as well and just realize there's a real world out here. So that's my rant for today. Catch you guys on another video.